Josh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Okay. I can hear you too.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Oh. Can you repeat that?
Thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Oh, our pleasure. My pleasure.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you and talk about the new sophomore album from Carnation, Where Death Lies, coming out next week through Season of Mist.
Correct. I'm excited.
Yeah, I've been spinning this album for so long now, and it's funny because the album's coming out next week, but, you know, in that time, I've just been able to really dissect these albums, and I just really love what you guys are doing this time around. I mean, the band feels even tighter now. I love the production that's going on with it, and just being able to mix that style of death metal that you guys do, it just makes for a perfect album.
Thank you so much, man. I'm really glad you like it. It was truly a pleasure to create this album. We've put in a lot of work, and I think, I'm really proud of it, so thank you. Yeah.
Oh, not a problem. So, with that in mind, I mean, what was it like to start writing this album?
So we were pretty much touring for 2 years or something with the first one, with the Chapel of Abhorrence. And at some point we were like, yeah, we need to work on the second one, of course, because you can't wait too long to create a second album after your first one. So at some point we were like, you started working on ideas. Jonathan started writing riffs. He creates most of the riffs at home, mostly Jonathan. And then he takes the ideas that he has to the rehearsal room, and then we start working on them as a band with 5 people. And we were quite surprised with some of the ideas that he came with, but we loved the direction that he was going in. So we had a lot of similar stuff from the first one, but he also had a few things that were quite different, and that was very interesting for us. Jonathan really took a lot of time to practice these 2 years. He really most definitely practiced on his lead guitar work and his solo work, and I think he definitely improved a lot. And we wanted to do more melody stuff and more lead guitar stuff, and he's definitely more present on the second one because he can just pull that off now, and I'm super happy that he spent the time on it. So yeah, that was pretty much how we started, and then the ideas that we wanted to add.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that really stood out to me on this album. I mean, it really does feel like this album is more established in that way, where, you know, you can have those leads, and those leads really add so much to the music this time around.
I think so too, yeah. I'm really happy with what we came up with and what he came up with, and yeah, it's been super cool to see all the different building blocks come together, and then like how the songs eventually, how we built the structure in the rehearsal room and the tempos and stuff, and how we layered some kind of guitar parts here and there. So yeah, I was on one hand super happy, and on the other hand also quite surprised here and there.
Oh, I can totally imagine. And yeah, I'm just thinking about this and the live setting too, you know, with the debut album. I mean, that is such a killer album to be able to go out and tour behind. But, you know, when things get back to some kind of normalcy here, I can't wait to see how these new songs are incorporated into the set list and see how well it goes together with the previous album.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of songs on the new album that would work really well live, and I'm actually super excited to start performing them live. We've played one of them live during a live stream show, but so we haven't really had many opportunities to play them live yet. But I think once we get the album out and once we can start touring again, it's going to be super, super fun to play these songs live. And I think there's definitely a lot of songs that are also really great for like interaction and a good energy, live energy show. So yeah, I'm hopeful to start touring again soon.
Oh, totally. So, you know, again, with that in mind, I mean, with thinking about this album and, you know, seeing where you guys are at now, even compared to the debut album, where do you personally feel like you've grown between the two albums? Like, what do you think you've gotten stronger at?
I think our songwriting is definitely improved, and I think with the first one, we kind of made our foundation. Like, we established ourselves as a death metal band, and we showed the world with kind of elements that we wanted to combine in our death metal sound. And I think with the second one, we took that foundation and maybe added some new ingredients here and there, but not too many. Just like some salt and pepper here and there to like surprise the listener, to show them that we would not write the exact same record as the first one, but to add some melody, some some difference in vocal here and there, or some difference in some tempos that we might have not touched as much on the first one. And I think it's always dangerous to venture too far away from what you've created, but it's also boring to recreate the same thing once again. So we try to stick between those two lines of what we have and what we want to try to add, and to not like estrange ourselves from our fan base. And I think we did that quite well. I think the fans of the first album will still love what they hear, but maybe fans who discover us with the second one will say, oh, this, and who will start listening to the first one will say, this is maybe a little bit different. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I do appreciate about it, too. I mean, it still has that core sound of what you guys established on the debut album, but, just being able to expand upon the sound and, just show all these different styles that you can incorporate into that old school death metal sound, but still sounding like yourselves, too, rather than just, going too far off. I mean, it feels so well-rounded with what you're doing.
Yeah, I think so too, and that was definitely the intention when we were writing those songs. We definitely wanted to add some things to it, and it turned out exactly as we had hoped. So that's good.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, especially when when you get back those mixes and masters, and you're able to see the way that turned out for the first time. I just gotta imagine that had to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it was definitely a relief on one hand, because recording an album is always a long process and a busy process, especially for our bass player, Jarno, who does most of the recording and the mixing. So for him, it's like weeks on end of the same project or the same album. And it's, of course, exciting to see it take shape and to see first you got drums coming in, then you got bass and guitar and stuff, and it builds up. But it's also you've got one thing going on in your mind, so it's sometimes maybe a bit too much. And it's a relief, of course, when you finish the album, but it's also very gratifying and satisfying when you get together as a band and you start listening to that final master, and you get that feeling of, damn, it feels good to listen to this, and we can be proud of what we've achieved. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And especially considering you were able to get one of the best people in studio production with Jens Borgen being able to help master the album too. I mean, getting such a legendary name to really make that old school death metal vibe, and being able to show off the new sides of the band too. I mean, it just feels like it was a great combination.
Yeah, definitely. We really wanted to work with him. We discussed a few mastering engineers beforehand, and I think most of us really wanted to get Jens on board, because our songwriting style is pretty old school, but I would say our sound is not that old school. I think it's quite accessible, and it's not super modern, but it's definitely well produced. I would say it's not it's very raw or something. And I think Jens was the perfect fit for this album, because he is mastering really, how to say it, augments what we wanted to do. He really added to it. He really made it even more accessible. It's still heavy, it's still brutal, and it's still death metal, but it's still easy to digest in some way, and that's really what we wanted to go for. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's totally the way it comes off too. I mean, being able to have the production, the mixing, and the mastering is just so important to be able to get that right album sound behind it. And then when you add the sounds of what you guys are doing, I mean, again, it's just a great combination, being able to see that modern yet old school death metal sound that you guys are doing, and then having the production on top of that. I mean, it's so fun to listen to this album from start to finish, and just seeing where you guys are at now in 2020, because all of these songs are absolutely killer for that reason.
Thank you, man. Yeah. We really put in a lot of time in all those songs, and also in finding the correct sound for guitars and drums and stuff. We wanted the drums to be super organic and real sounding, because Vincent also practiced a lot in these last 2 years, and we felt like he could pull that off with a super organic and clean sound for the drums. And yeah, it felt great that we managed to accomplish it, and that it also sounds the way you intended it to sound, because sometimes when you go into a studio and you work on a project, sometimes it doesn't just go the way you wanted it, but this time it really did, and we're super happy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I really do appreciate as a drummer myself. I mean, the fact that the drums do sound so organic and natural. I mean, you can tell that when there's blasts going on, they're real blasts. When the double bass is really starting to kick in, it's not just some oversampled bass drum. Like, it's real sounds behind it. And to me, those are always going to be my favorite kind of death metal albums, where they sound as real and natural as possible. And I think that's just another reason why I can't stop listening to this album, for that reason, because of that organic sound behind everyone on the album.
Yeah, that's definitely what we discussed beforehand. Like, it's on the one hand, it's very challenging as a musician to like pull that off, the organic sound, but it felt like it would benefit our overall sound so much to go for it as an organic sound as possible, but still a sound that is very accessible and where you can hear everything very cleanly. So it was a challenge to like perform it, but it worked, and this is the sound that we needed. So yeah, it's good.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing that I really do appreciate that you guys were able to do is continue on with some killer artwork. I mean, this time around, I really love what's going on here, because you really don't see green and yellow often that much in a death metal album cover. And I just really love the way that it turned out, and then being able to have the logo on the top left. I think it's just such a killer and original album cover. Thank
you, man. So the cover for the second one it was also made by João Castellano. He did Chapel of Abhorrence as well. And for one, we just really like working with him. He really gets what we want. When we explain to him like, this is our vision for the cover. We're big fans of landscape artwork, so we always tell him like, yeah, we want our landscape, and it has to feel like this and this. And he really always gets what we want to, and he does a good job of like visualizing it. And our intention really was to get like the same artist, because it would be recognizable. People would in an instant notice that it's a Carnation album. But we wanted to use two completely different colors to really diversify and tell them like, this is the second album and not the first one. So this was really the idea behind it. It was our theme. It was our viewpoint, and it was a way to like connect both albums, but also to keep them apart in some way. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And, going to that as well, too, when it comes into the visual aspect, I love the fact that Sepulture of Alteration was, like, really heavily using that yellow and green color behind it, too, because it fits so well with the album cover, and it really does give that distinct sound to it, or distinct look to it.
Yeah, we always really try to connect everything as much as possible, and the same goes for, like, photo shoots and videos and stuff. We really wanted to like get the same color aspects with Sepulcher and also with photo shoots and stuff. So yeah, we really try to find like locations that fit really what's going on in the album, or that has like a certain reference connected to it. So yeah, same with shirts and merch. We always try to like get like drawings or paintings that represent the songs on the album, because we feel like it's cool to like connect all the dots with our sound and our visual. And it's often like a lot of work to get it done, but in the end it's always cool to like see the end result. So yeah.
Oh, totally. And it gives everything that distinct vibe behind it too. I mean, especially when you look at both albums and you see how the colors matter so much with what's going on. Obviously red and blue on the previous album, now green and yellow here, and just having that distinct color visuals going on there. I mean, it's cool to see where the band's currently at that point in time. And, when you guys are about to release even the next album after that. So I'm very curious to see where the color schemes are going to be, and, just a scene where things are going to go in that direction.
That's a very good question. I know I'd like to answer that myself, but the third album is still quite off for us, and I know Jonathan already has a couple of ideas musically, but I think that there's still a lot of work to be done before we can start imagining what the end result will be for that third one. So, yeah.
Oh, totally. And, with that in mind, too, I really think there was a great selection of singles that happened from the album, too. I mean, 3 very distinct looking singles as well, too, of being able to show off the different sides of the album. I mean, I'm glad to see all 3 of these tracks were used for singles.
Yeah, it felt like the most logical choice to us. So the first one, Sepulchre, it's a little bit more melodic. It has a very recognizable melody, and we felt like that will be one aspect of our song. Then Iron Discipline is more of a groovy death metal kind of song, and then the title track, Where That Lies, is more fast and trashy, and we felt like those three songs would show different kind of aspects that are on the album, but it would be a great representation of what we are in total, or like almost in total, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, completely agreed. And, just being able to show off all those different sides just from the singles alone. I mean, I'm very much a guy who likes a band that is able to have able to hear a band and hear all these different sides to the band. I mean, obviously there are some bands that are really good at being able to stick to one style, and they love doing that. But I really do appreciate it when a band is able to expand upon their sound like you guys have done with this album, and being able to show that off right from the beginning with the singles chosen here. I mean, it's just so cool to see that.
Yeah, we really thought about those singles, and it just felt like the most obvious choice, and also in like the order that we released them. Definitely Sepulchre was the one that we wanted to release first. We just had such a good feeling with that song, and it felt like definitely a song that we wanted to put into our live show and stuff. So we wanted to introduce it as quickly as possible, and yeah, quite happy we did so.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, like talked about before, I mean, you guys were able to do one song in a live stream, but again, just like thinking about the visuals, thinking about how everything is going with the album, the different sides to it, and like I mentioned before, I can't wait to see where these songs are gonna fit into that live setting, and I can only imagine how great of a feeling it's gonna be for you guys to finally be able to get back out there and do some live shows again after a year like 2020.
Yeah, man, this year is strange. It's hard to put into words like how to deal with this and stuff, but we're trying to like look at the future and like plan ahead, and then we had like a super cool tour planned quite like short after the release, but all of that's been postponed, and the only thing on our mind is postponed is not canceled, so it's gonna happen at some point, but it better happen soon.
Oh yeah, totally. And that, again, just thinking about that, that's why I'm so happy that this album is still coming out next week, because so many albums have been pushed back or postponed, even into 2021 when it was supposed to come out in early 2020. And, especially with what's going on in the world right now, I really needed an album like this to come out in 2020. And I'm so thankful that you guys were still able to put this thing out.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for saying that. And yeah, I mean, it's of course not ideal, but I think it's still better to release the album right now. And I think a lot of people will still listen to it and will still pick it up, even if we can't perform live right now. So it was the right choice to still release it. And I think the label also did a good job in helping us promote it. So it's not ideal, but I'm definitely still happy that it's coming out next week. So yeah.
Oh, totally. And, seeing that support with Season of Mist is just so important, too. I mean, I constantly kept seeing stuff from you guys. I love being able to go on the social media or go onto YouTube and see all the comments, all the listens, all the positive things that are going on with you guys, and just seeing that people do love this sound of death metal. And, it's just, again, it's just a great thing to see in 2020, seeing all the love that's going towards you guys.
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, it's for the fans, of course, that we create music because, well, of course, we create it for ourselves also, but you have to have like an audience that listens to your music, and it feels super great to see when people send us messages that they really love the new material and they're excited for the direction that we're taking, and that they can't wait to see us live. So yeah, it's super fun for us, and in the end, that's what it's all about, to have like a connection with someone and to have like some kind of energy and stuff during the live show. That's really, I think, the most important thing for us, to create like a an energy with the music. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And again, that's exactly what you guys have done here with Where Death Lies. And, I think with that, I think that's an amazing note to end on too, just like, being able to cover so much ground with this album. And, even though I have the album, I'm excited to keep listening to this album, being able to see what everyone else is going to be thinking about this album, because it's just one of those great death metal albums that people are really going to appreciate if they take the time to really be able to sit down and listen to it. And with that in mind, again, thank you very much for taking the time to do this. It was awesome being able to talk about the album and the visuals and hopefully things that will come in the future. And with that, thank you very much for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the interview, Josh. It was a pleasure.
Oh, awesome. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I didn't bring up yet?
This would be where I plug tours and stuff, but I can't talk tours because most of it's been postponed. But I just hope people will check out the album, that they will hear what we are trying to do. And if they like it, then they should get in touch with us and we can talk. So, yeah.